Hi folks, this is Danny at Bradley James Classics, and today's modern classic is a Vauxhall Vectra SRI V6 from the year, well, V-Reg year 2000. It's a local car traded in here at our classic car garage, and usually a car that's got such a nice backstory as this would join the mighty queue of cars that go for our preparation process and come out the other end a beautiful retail ready classic car. However, what we've decided to do with this particular car, purely based on the fact that we have quite a few cars in prep already, and it would be a real shame if this car had to sit around for several months, we've decided to let this one go pre-prep. Now, as trading cars go, there's probably 50% of them that we sell on, and there's probably 50% of them that get disposed into the trade. Usually all the modern cars we have traded in go to the trade, and a car that's interesting like this one, we would certainly put it through our high standards of prep to make sure this car is capable of being a good everyday working classic, and iron out any issues we find. We then take it through to retail. So the reason this particular car is going to be a fab buy for anyone who decides to have her is for the fact that this local car, it shows two previous owners on the logbook. The last owner, the local gentleman where the car's come from, has owned it for 20 years. He bought it when the car was about 3 years old, and it had been registered by Vauxhall first. So really, you are looking at two actual owners over the 24-year lifespan of the car, and one of those owners had the car for 20 years. So, you know, it's a lovely story. The car has been adored, really well looked after, garaged, and it's been serviced at the Vauxhall dealership. And one of the reasons, I should say another one of the reasons this one ought to be taken seriously as a great contender to be an affordable classic, something you can absolutely drive as is, and if you want to carry out any improvements to cover off the areas we would usually call prep, then that's purely optional, but it can get you into a car at probably approximately 50% of the value of where we would end up with it after we've put it through the mill. Now the car itself, the paperwork is incredible. It comes with the dealer handbook, and it does come with the fact that it's been fully stamped up by Vauxhall through the years, and this was a rather expensive invoice. Is it that one? No, actually it's on the next page I think, but there's one of them here. Oh, there we go. So in 2023, about, what's that? Is that January 23, new cam belt fitted, and there's an invoice in here from the Vauxhall dealership for £1,100. And in very, very recent times, the car was struggling with its emissions, and it was discovered that the catalytic converter needed to be replaced. And I'll be a little bit careful, but if I just show you down here, that's £934, and that work was carried out on this car. That should say, come on, I don't want the technology to let me down. Yeah, at 104,000 miles. This car currently has got 104,000 miles, and then you can see that yeah, that's the registration of that car, and here's the work. And basically that emissions ended up costing that £934 because it ended up basically with an exhaust system and some anti-roll bars, links, and the front catalytic converter section. So that's the expensive bit. So that's a £900 spend within recent weeks. And then also I can show you that some of the other invoices that have been done very recently. I think this was probably that £1,139 for a cam belt and water pump done by the Vauxhall dealership. I'm trying to be careful as I move around this piece of paper, and hopefully I can show you what car it was on. There we are, there's the the Vectra, and there's the mileage done at 101,000 miles, so that really wasn't very long ago. So the cam belt change 3,000 miles ago. The MOT has been done in very recent times, a week or so back. So this is MOT to the end of October 2025. And then there are some rather juicy invoices also in here, but there's a complete pack. In fact, let's just go around and just show you, because I think I've got it in the logbook. To accompany this car, it comes with its dealer manual, and there's the 2 previous owners mentioned on there, and then when work's been carried out. But there's every single MOT from 2002 to, in fact, every MOT it's ever had are all filed in here, right back to the old-fashioned ones. That's lovely to have. Additional invoices for work beyond the service stamp is in here, and then a full dealer manual, radio code. It comes with 2 keys, one unused, one as new. Now, I spent a bit of time on that because this car comes to you having had, in fairly recent times, more spent on it than what the car is actually up for. So it ought to give some reassurances that this car has been looked after and loved. Now, it's a lovely colour scheme. The SRI model always had a lovely interior, and it had chunkier bumpers and better wheels and a boot spoiler. It always looked good. In this case, it's the saloon model, which I personally think looks great. That sort of Bordeaux red, I'm not entirely sure if that's what it's still called, but I have a feeling it's something similar to that. It looks pretty wonderful in this Vauxhall Vectra. Now, the V6 engine sounds great, goes great, effortless, and it's a real joy to drive, actually. For anyone who actually ever owned one of these or remember what they were like, they was always a very purposeful performer. And because this comes from an era where the cars didn't have massive oversized alloy wheels and rock hard suspension, these are comfy cars as well. You know, it was a pleasure to drive around the UK's motorway system on a V6 Vectra, because they ate up the miles, they were comfortable, and the cars used to drive ever so well. And I know to this day there's still quite a following for these old Vauxhalls. In recent times we've sold a beautiful Calibra in incredible condition, very low mileage one. We've sold a Cavalier in a very similar colour to this one, the very last of them, on a year 95. We've got a fully restored Nova in stock as well at the moment. Seem to have a lot of Vauxhalls around, but they're always popular with the British buying public. This one, as I say, is covered 104,000 miles, and I'm now going to do a deep dive and show you what we would usually do if we were prepping this car. So as we're selling it as is, that's very much reflected in the price. So let's have a closer look. I'm going to walk around all the panels, and I'm going to point out any imperfections as I see them. Now, the front bumper is in very nice condition all round, as is the bonnet all round. If I get in close here, that's a touch-up stick, just on a tiny sort of stone chip, but very, very presentable. Car's always had a good coat of wax on it and always looked good. The tyres are quality tyres, I noticed, all round. It's always a good sign. I like to see branded tyres. I do have a bit of a scuff here. That would be something that would be repaired. If I get down at a low level, the bottoms of those doors and sill, albeit they are sill covers, all looks good, and those doors look nice and straight, excellent panel gaps. Now, this car is very common on these, and this car's been garaged and it's happened, but look, that rear arch has got corrosion starting to affect the paintwork here, and then it's got down to the bottom here where it's actually taken the paintwork off. But thankfully the gentleman has applied some sort of rust treatment which has prevented it spreading. However, this through the trade, that all gets ground out, it gets pieced in with steel, and then this arch gets repaired and painted and it gets blended in. This would be a piece of preparation that we would carry out. but this car's coming to you as is, hence price. Really straight rear panel, and the back bumper and boot lid, all excellent. Really extra clean inside, never been smoked in. It doesn't look to have ever been a family car, so it's pretty much, it looks time warp good inside for a car that's at 104,000 miles. And actually these wheels, this one's lost the little logo, but actually you can see exactly the same things happened on this arch. It used to happen on these cars. What happened is that the soil used to build up on the inside of it, and if it wasn't pressure washed off, it would start to eat in and cause these corrosion issues. So you need to budget in to repair and repaint 2 rear arches. Very common on these, and if you find the right bodywork shop, you'll find you'll be paying a couple of £100 to do that, not thousands. These doors, this rear door, really good, and the bottom of this door, it's got that a real bubble of corrosion that's been treated, and it needs sorting out. It may well be, if it's done properly and professionally, it may be a piece of metal that gets pieced in there. It might be filler. It really does depend on what's found when that rust is ground away. But then I get round to the front of the car, and I'm very fussy, and I'm getting very close. I can you see that just starting to bubble there? That would be something we would do. And in fact, let me have a closer look at the front arch just to see if that's got any. Yeah, if I'm getting really close, you can see that's just got that bubble there as well. I missed that the first time round. So because this is the wing that's got a few scuffs on, I've got a feeling the bodywork shop we use would probably end up painting both sides of these cars to make it look really sharp. Now that's really all you need to do to go from having the car as an as-is semi-fixer-upper, I could say, from a bodywork point of view. She drives perfectly. It's had a small fortune spent on servicing and repairs over the years. So from a mechanical point of view, you're getting a really usable Vauxhall. However, it's just really those bits of paintwork that hold her back from being a real, well, the sort of car that you'd drive directly to a car show. It's very clean under the bonnet as well. I'll make sure I take a photograph for you. But where the car really stands out, and this is probably through lack of use of being a family mobile, look at those rear seats. It literally is like a new car in the back. I just don't think those rear seats, they haven't had much life at all. Here we have door cards in perfect condition. You've got wind-up windows in the back. These days, that's very retro. And I'm going to sit in the driver's seat. And the good thing about these SRIs, obviously, it's always the sporty model. The door cards are beautiful, by the way, but these great Recaro type seats. And you can see they're bucket sporty seats, and you've got that bit on the front. And fully adjustable, and they look marvellous. So this is like a dark charcoal graphite-y grey, which contrasts really well with the red. Let's put that bit of paperwork down. And while we're in the car together, it really looks fabulous in here. This is so clean, so little use. A 5-speed manual gearbox, electric windows, a CD player, and that's the Delco one, so that's a proper one there. It's flashing away because there's a little button you press and then the front of the radio falls off. So that was a security device back in the late 90s, early 2000s. When I put the key in, we've got a little display panel there, tells you what your radio station is, among other things. I think I promised you 2 keys. One of them, I believe, is literally unused. And both keys are central locking key, so I can press that, lock and unlock the car. Now, unfortunately, the air conditioning doesn't work on this car. It packed up a few years ago. The gentleman never used it anyway. Now, I'm not saying that couldn't come back to life, but it is an air conditioning model, being an SRI. There's no other known faults at all. I'm told that once in a blue moon, you might get an engine management light come on a cold day. I've driven this car for about 30 miles. It didn't happen to me. Leather steering wheel, leather gear knob, rev counter, and I'm just going to pop this key in. And one of the nicest things, of course, is this engine tone. Let's make sure it's not in gear, because it could be a very embarrassing demo. So that's doing a little check at the moment over there, and it's 4:15 here, and someone's been listening to radio too. Let's turn the key. Oh, that's a lovely tone. Power steering, traction control. Back in the old days, they used to have this thing called a traffic master system that used to tell you about traffic systems. The only light that's on here is showing that I've got the handbrake on. If I turn that off, the car rolls away and the light goes out. These are really lovely cars to drive. The V6 is obviously the one to have. It's super clean interior wise. It has new car feel to it. It really does. It really has had easy duty, completely clean. There we go. I don't think there's been much smoking going on in here. So I will leave this engine running as I step outside. 104,000 miles on a V6 SRI Astra, maybe said Astra, Vectra in the year 2000. A previous owner of 20 years. A recent spend, a couple of £1,000, but very recently has a new exhaust system with catalytic converter that was required for the MOT due to emissions, so I don't think that's going to be playing you up in years to come. It's a handsome car as the saloon model. It motors ever so well, sounds great, and this one is available at I think a very competitive price. I have pointed out one or two bodywork issues, which is a part of the Bradley James preparation process that would have gone through the body shop. Otherwise, this car is absolutely ready to drive away as is. Excellent tyres all round, service history from the main dealer since new, fully stamped up book, cam belt done within the last couple of thousand miles, and in fact rather a large spend on this catalytic converter, a couple of drop links and a few bits and pieces for the MOT. But here she is. Well, thank you folks, thank you for watching the video. We can part exchange your existing classic. We can take in a light commercial vehicle, we can even take in a modern car. So if a part exchange helps, we're happy to look at that, and 9 times out of 10 we can always work out a deal. We can also offer free UK delivery. When I say free, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say free. Very competitive, but not free. We don't make any money out of our transportation. It's a service that we really just offer our customers. So I just need your postcode to tell me where you are, and then I can give you a quote of how much it's going to cost to get this lovely car delivered to you. So thank you ever so much for watching today's walk around video. So it's Danny at Bradley James Classics signing out.